Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. Our city likes to call itself a town and feel like a village. We're warm, friendly, caring people. That's why we like to stay in touch with each other. We work together to grow our harmony, safety, and prosperity for everyone. And here's the question we're answering on this show. Will free transit for seniors and youth turn out to be a good idea or not? And to help us predict the future on this question, we have Adrian Kawun, who is the director of Oakville Transit, and Phoebe Fu, who is the commissioner of all things infrastructure. I've sometimes introduced you, Commissioner Fu, as the lady who builds and maintains everything. And Adrian, of course, you're the one who moves as many people as possible through our town. Let's set the stage for a discussion of free transit by talking about who already gets a really cheap ride on transit and how much transit do we do anyway? Adrian?
Great question. In the first part of the question, who gets free transit? Right now, children ages 0 to 12 are able to take transit for free. And this was originally instated as a pilot here in the town of Oakville, which now has become a permanent program for children. In addition to the children, adults also get somewhat of a free ride as when they do transfer to the Go Train Go bus network as a co-fare, which means any adult that boards an Oakville Transit bus and then transfers onto the Go Train or Go bus system actually gets their Oakville Transit fare reimbursed. So it's technically a free fare for adults already when they participate in the co-fare agreement with Metrolinx.
And this is an evolution of something I remember. It used to be called Go with Gus. Do you remember that? Where it was 75 cents or 85 cents if you made that same trip, and then the province decided, oh, what the heck, free, right?
That is correct. It actually started off as 25, 50, 75 cents, and then eventually Metrolinx said, you know what, let's just go all out and make this something really, really that people would like.
Yeah, and I know people are skeptical of this, but if we, what's the single greatest thing that we can do to fight climate change? Well, it's reduce the cars on the road. And a bus is capable of replacing a lot of cars. You got to use the bus to make that magic happen, of course, and that's a whole nother question. What about our ridership? I know that after the big event that I go back to was when I became mayor. We elected to change our system from a radial system where everything went in and out of the GO stations to a grid system. The idea, and we doubled the number of buses. And the idea was that we were going to really increase service. There's an argument among transit experts that if you want to increase ridership, you got to increase service. And I think we increased the spending on transit by 50%, and ridership went up 25%. So we were very impressed with that gain. Although, you look at when you run that math out, you never get to a really full ridership before you bankrupt yourself. So we needed a new way to approach this. But ridership has been pretty good until COVID. What happened with ridership when COVID hit?
So when COVID hit, ridership went down quite significantly, and it wasn't just here in the town; it was across the entire GTHA. The stay-at-home orders really impacted travel throughout the entire network. And when I mean network, Oakville Transit is part of that, significant actually part of that network. But I'm happy to provide an update where as of last month, we are now reaching 80 to 85% of our pre-pandemic levels, which is quite significant, especially on our system, considering the new travel patterns that we're seeing out on the road. So we've managed to get to 80 to 85%. Now, the nice thing about seeing these numbers so early in the year is that when the warmer months start coming around, which we had a beautiful week, a week or two ago, beautiful sunshine, beautiful weather, those numbers start to creep up. People like to get out more. People like to get onto transit more. We have a few programs where you can bike and bus. and kind of make those connections all around. So we are starting to see that increase come back, and the riders are truly happy to be back on the service.
I remember when we once did a promotion of bike and bus years ago. So I went to the bus stop near my home I rode my bike to the bus stop, my little helmet on, and we took photos of me putting the bike on the carryall in the front of the bus, and then we took the bus over to Bronny, and one of the new bike parking spots, they took a car parking spot, turned into a bike parking spot, and I got off the bus at the stop, rode down to there, and that was our jaunt for the day. And I've seen our bus bike carryalls in use, so that's they followed we set a good example that somebody followed it. Let's hope. Now we're also electrifying the fleet, which is a big dream of mine. Half the fleet. We only got enough money for half the fleet. Commissioner Fu, you want to talk about our progress on that? I come from a background of film and television. I started YTV, and film and TV stuff is a lot faster than in any level of government, as far as I can tell. How long is it going to, we have the money to convert half the fleet. How long is it going to take? Give us the lowdown on that.
So we did get some grant from the government to, as you mentioned, electrify half of our fleet. And our plans to do that actually is close to, we should have that done around 2026. So it's fairly close. It's coming around the corner. One of the biggest exciting things that has happened is we already got delivery of our first set of fleet that are electric. And there are specialized, smaller buses that helps with our home to hub or on-demand pilots. And so you'll be seeing them on the road very shortly, sometimes in the spring. And we are on track to order the big conventional buses. We're planning another 15 that's coming sometimes next year. That will start to see our first fleet of the larger buses as well. So we also are putting together a program really to contribute to our overall corporate climate action to look at the opportunity and future grant opportunities as well to electrify our entire fleet. So it's a long range process, and we're very excited to going down this road.
Well, yes. Well, when I started, I wanted to electrify the fleet, and the staff of the day told me, "Oh, you can't, because we don't have a proper building to house them or maintain them." And they took me and showed me this. I'll describe it as a shack that Transit operated out of. And they said, "So, therefore give up on your electric dream." And I said, "Well, all right, we'll just build a proper transit facility. That's obviously step one. And then we'll get the buses." And and Adrian, I hope you like your digs, because we spent a lot of money on that, and we had help from both the federal and the provincial government. It's good to. We put up half, and they put up a quarter each. I think is important for people to know that Oakville really carries its own weight.
I think that foresight was important, Mayor, that we built a facility that could already receive these electric buses with no issue, and we didn't need to build another facility for it. And we certainly are having the room to put in the electrical equipment, because that we do need equipment to support those new buses as well. Yeah. So those are all part of the overall long range plan that yourself and others had that foresight to build a beautiful facility today.
So let's bridge from this to how big our system is, the transit system, and then it's part of a larger transportation system. I'm gonna grandiloquently call all of our streets and roads and sidewalks and bridges, and that's all a transportation system, including the buses. And I don't think people understand how huge that is. Do you want to give us a few examples of just how big it is?
Of course, our entire transportation network system, which we do plan under our transportation master plan for the future and in the near term, not only include roads and everybody who uses the road. There is the sidewalk that the pedestrian uses the road, and of course, bike facilities and active transportation facilities for different modes of travel. Transit is actually one of the components that uses the overall road network. And that road network, of course, has different levels of government involved. The highways belongs to the ministry. There's regional roads and then there's local roads.
We're losing your audio, Commissioner Fu. So somebody didn't pay their internet bill, I guess.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's funny. Your audio level just sank down. Adrian, while she works on that, I think you can continue the line she was talking about. The one thing I don't expect you to be able to answer is how many billions of dollars are tied up in our roads, which I think everybody can imagine. But the money that's tied up in transit is just a small part of this giant transportation system is what we're looking to cover here.
And you're absolutely correct. I mean, it's interesting to hear Commissioner Fu's description of the transportation network and the planning that the team is doing. From a transit perspective, it's also part of a network where we can start with our own buses. We have our buses, we have our local routes, and then we get into a higher order, which then connects to other municipalities. With the other municipalities and the cross-boundary travel, we also have a connection into another network, which is the GO Rail and Bus, which is the higher order train and highway bus coaches, which then connects into the broader GTHA. This entire network needs to be planned consistently and together. And the reason being is that we want to make sure the connections are made to make it a lot easier for passengers and our residents to use transit seamlessly and with an integrated vision of getting people where they really need to go.
Yeah, I would not want your headaches trying to make sure that there's a bus at the time people rely on all through its route, and somehow it magically connects with the train, which of course is never late or early. I mean, how to make that work together? I don't know. All my friends who use the GO system, their one request is they want a more perfect meeting of the train and the bus. What progress have we made in that area?
Well, it's interesting, and I do have to give kudos to staff at all levels of the agencies. They have really started coming together to plan and schedule the services. And now, interestingly enough, when a train is operating at a certain frequency, it is tough to get those buses to those stations. However, with the help of our customers, we hear them, we see them, we go out with them and say, what is it that we can help you with? Which connections do you need to make? And then we start planning and designing the network so that at least they begin to connect as one seamless network.
Yeah, from 50 miles up, I was worried that 15-minute electrified GO train service, which is where we're headed, would require us to have 15-minute bus routes, or because that's a lot of trains to meet. And you're talking about, sounds like prioritizing these. Is that what you mean?
Well, yes, and I think it's an important step to getting to that final 15-minute all-day service. The idea here is that we won't be able to make every single train trip. But the idea is when we do make a trip, we will make sure it connects. And that is what makes the system attractive, where the bus that you're getting on will eventually connect to either another bus route or the train, which is set at 15 minutes. So we can have that leverage of really working the schedules to prioritize the train meets that people really need to go to.
All right. Now, I imagine that kids and seniors, as they start to use and enjoy free transit on May 1st, are going to occasionally connect with the GO train in order to entertain themselves in Toronto or some other destination. And I'm wondering what you think the take-up will be of free transit. As you know, I required in the resolution that people have to have a Presto card in order to avail themselves of this. And that's because I think we have to measure it. And how fast will we get good measurements of the use of this?
Well, it is actually really, really nice to know that we do have a system that can count the passengers. We will be able to see what the uptake is fairly quickly. However, I like to give it a month or two to really set the travel patterns. I do have to say we've had a few outreach events where we've given away free Presto card, and to date, we've already given away 1,600 Presto cards just for this event. So that just shows you how many people are really interested and excited about this program starting May 1st. As for the students, they pretty much already have their Presto cards because we do pick them up with our system already. The excitement will be, what do they use the system for after the school? Is it to work, to socialize on the weekends? We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we are preparing. We will have the service ready to go should there be unexpected overloads. That's our greatest goal, is to have these buses full, where we can start sending additional service to get even more people on the system. So in terms of what we suspect that we will have an increase. It may be 20%, it may be 50%, but the true tell will be May 1st and into the summer, where people will be able to experience our system. Even if it's for the first time, they'll be able to do it for free.
Cool. I remember, you reminded me that your predecessor on my first day in office, and he started roughly the same time I did. He said to me, Mr. Mayor, we need to go to council to add a bus to the route that serves Sheridan College and Square One in Mississauga. And I said, why? And he said, well, because there's long lineups of students there, and we don't have enough buses on that route to bring them all over. And so they have to wait a long time to get to the college. And I said, yeah. And when you run a full bus, do you make money or lose money? He said, well, we make money. It's the only time we make money. I said, well, then council's already authorized you to run a transit system. Why don't you have those extra buses on that line already? That's how you run a TV station or a television network. You kind of go, hey, you're leaving money on the table. Go get it. So we've had that can-do attitude here for quite a long time now. Phoebe, I welcome your audio back, I hope.
Yes, I'm back.
Oh, good. This would be a perfect time to branch out to the larger question of the transportation master plan. By way of a setup, we do master plans that plan out 10 years or any length of time. But the idea is that a lot of the things that we do cost a lot of money and take a long time to build, and they last for a long time. So we try to plan ahead. I know, radical idea. And the transportation master plan, we have one already, and it includes all these things we said earlier, but it's good practice to review it every few years. And Commissioner Fu, over to you. What are we doing with our transportation master plan?
We redo a transportation master plan every 5 years. And the reason why we do that, because we know that Oakville is going under rapid change. There's lots of change in growth, demographics, needs. So we are currently embarking in initiating that transportation master plan, and there will be public consultations opportunities in the spring and the summer. What does that transportation master plan actually do though? We look at the roads, the active transportation pieces, the connections with other systems such as transit, regional road network, everything that you see along the road in the entire right-of-way, as we call it technically, from the sidewalks to the multi-use path to how many lanes, they're all completely reviewed for to ensure that we could accommodate growth for Oakville, to accommodate the future need of, say, such as transit ridership. We look at transit priorities. We look at tactics all the way down to signals, stop signs, and safety of our roads. So it is really a master plan to help us plan out the future budget implications, so we could invest into our, I'll call it transportation mobility infrastructure. And transit, as I mentioned earlier, is just a component of that overall system. What's very interesting about the linkages of that transportation master plan is then Adrian on the transit side will operationalize that master plan. Once the decisions of the infrastructure has been made, and once they're built, they're put into the plans for the future. Adrian then can accompany that with the operational plan, with the service levels, how many buses is actually on the route, and all this free transit for youth, and seniors is going to really help change the culture of how people choose transit over cars. So really the bottom line is we want people to get off the roads, contribute to our climate action, and get on those transit. And that could be only done when we provide the appropriate infrastructure to support the transit service that is on the road.
So if I understand correctly, the Transportation Master Plan is more, we have a lot of documents that we call plans that tend to be very high level policies. They're very general rather than really, really granular and particular. The Transportation Master Plan, with your illustration that Adrian operationalizes it, can you speak to the degree of generality and high level policy in a Transportation Master Plan versus the fine grain of where does the bus go and when does it show up?
Actually, yeah, so the Transportation Master have both. It doesn't just have policy, it actually have tactical implementation. So I'll stay on the policy first of all. We want to make sure there's appropriate number of lanes or appropriate priority signals or things like that from an infrastructure perspective to support our growth nodes, the service we want to provide. The policy there's even look at, do we want to have e-scooters? Do we want a different kind of micro mobility? So we do look at some policy lenses of how do we enhance our mobility overall in the long run and have a capital plan to associate and funding opportunities to do that. The tactical side of it is something like such as we're going to talk about traffic calming. We could talk about different priority signals for Adrian, HOV lanes that we actually want to implement. So from the policy of saying that we do want transportation priority for the transit users, the bike users, the pedestrians, all the different things away from cars is our priority from a policy lens. But the actual signals, the roads, the lanes, the paintings, the signs, all of that actually get executed through operationalizing. And the TMP, which is the Transportation Master Plan, actually sets what are we going to do in those tactic level, and I'll say the residents can feel and see the actual pathways and the bridges and the safety signs and all that stuff that's going to go in.
But whether you have a bus on your street or not, and where Adrian runs a bus route, that's down at his level because it's more responsive to market conditions, I hope, right?
Of course, in driving where what mode of transportation people want to take. As you mentioned, you take your bike to the bus to the go, and so on and so forth. But the overall system, Adrian, just part of that component. The bigger system is everyone's mobility from getting from A to B, and how we get them from A to B have a variety of choices, and that entire system works together coherently, and Adrian's part of that.
So Adrian, I want to talk about what you think and how you work with discovering and achieving opportunities to improve. But before that, I wanted to ask you to explain for people the status of the age-old desire to pay a fare in one place and ride the bus all the way across the GTA. And that has kind of a storied background. Do you want to just sum up for people where we're at today on the one fare in the GTA theory?
Well, work still continues with that initiative. And however, it is nice to be part of the transit agencies that operate within the 905 area. We in the 905, we accept each other's transfer. So you can technically get from point A to point B anywhere in the 905 within 2 hours on one fare.
Just not the 416.
That's correct. That's correct. And that is the big question still to date. However, there is progress with regard to, again, when it comes to the network, the GO Transit and the TTC system as well. We do have many residents here who use Oakville, then go to GO, and then transfer to TTC. So there have been developments with a similar co-fare arrangement as well. But I do have to say,
do we have co-fare with TTC?
No, we as an agency don't. However, there is the co-fare. I do believe a co-fare arrangement with the TTC and GO Transit. Yeah. So you can see it's very similar. But But the nice thing is with the agencies around us, when we do our planning, when we do speak with customers, you can get in the city of Mississauga and come into the town of Oakville, enjoy the day, enjoy the waterfront, and go back on transit on that one fare. So that one fare does exist in portion of the GTHA, and happily we are part of that.
Yeah, there was a very funny joint meeting, the first ever joint meeting of the boards of the Metrolinx and the TTC, where they were gonna create this co-fare that the rest of us already had, and they were shocked to discover that it was already there. And the TTC chair erupted when all eyes turned on him for being the skunk at the garden party, and he was very angry about. And we will never do it because you have to pay us. He's running for mayor now, so it'll be fun to see where that goes. We got about a minute left. What's your most important area for improvement? What's the KPI that you watch every day?
From my perspective, it is the ridership. It's very important to understand where people want to go, especially with the new travel patterns. We are seeing that increase, and we are also planning out services accordingly based on the demand of where and when people are using the system. So for me, ridership, get on it with the free initiative. There's an opportunity to go and explore at your leisure as well. There's no time commitment on the free transit for youth and seniors. So please use it as much as possible. We want to see you there. I'll be out on the system as well, welcoming people. So I can't wait to see you on our service. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And Commissioner Fu, thank you for adding the superstructure, the mega view of our system and how it fits into the bigger puzzle. And thank you for joining us today to learn more about our transit system and our plans to make Oakville more mobile. And I hope that if you have any ideas to increase the livability of Oakville, that you'll share them with me, and any suggestions for future topics for the show. I'm easy to reach, mayor@oakville.ca. Here's looking at you, and I hope you're looking at us next time. Thanks for watching.